Matt, you're not on your.
Looks like I'm
Can you get back, please?
Sorry. On your.
Welcome, everybody, to the
podcast.
Brotherly Love podcast.
Oh, my
Speaking of that,
Lord.
sorry, we're arguing here because we're in each other's shots.
Yeah, I don't
And let
like
me
it.
tell you something, we're brothers, but nobody gets in my shot.
Nobody upstages me. Let me tell you that.
You get in my shot. I don't care if you're my brother or not. You're going down. Welcome to the Pod to Pod.
Pod to pod. We
Yeah.
are back.
Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. You know, guys, we were driving in here this morning, and I was feeling a little aggressive.
You were?
Toward you guys. Well, Matt, in
I had
all
quite a morning.
transparency,
Matt's
was
the most aggressive in the
Matt-
world.
I had quite a morning,
Yeah,
guys.
Matt exploded, but more than that,
I'm sorry.
he then took his rage out not on anybody, but on the vehicle that he was driving us in. And
That's
Andy and
true.
I both got car sick.
I get very car
We
sick
threw up.
when Matt
It was a
drives.
horrible ride.
We were late,
Matt
the
was
whole
driving.
thing, it was a disaster.
Matt was, like, what was it? Wild
I don't
Toads.
think anybody wants to hear this.
It was like Indiana Jones ride from Disneyland.
Anybody ever been on the Indiana
That's kinda
Jones
what I was
ride,
driving
Disney
like
World,
today.
Disneyland? That's what Matt's truck feels like.
Yeah.
You know, in morning traffic. It was
Yeah.
horrible. We both
I
got
jumped
sick.
a couple curbs too.
Everyone
I
was feeling a
noticed.
little aggressive.
The best is when Matt doesn't like somebody, he pulls up next to him and looks at them.
Yeah, like
this.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Wait till I give him my
absolutely
stare
did.
of
I'm not
death.
that
And I'm
petty.
like, what are you doing, man? He's like this. And he's got these glasses on because
Yeah,
he can't
I
see.
know, I know.
And his and he
So you
pushes.
just
He
need
just
huge
did it.
eyes.
He just did it because this
I
is
know.
exactly what he does.
This is kinda what
this
I'll
is
do.
what he
That's what I'll do.
Yeah.
I'll look over
And
and I'll
he
be like-
pushes his glasses up the bridge of his nose. Like
Oh,
that's like
yeah.
a real.
Yeah.
You see these big
intimidating-
eyes?
Intellectual judging.
You want to make sure they can see my pupils.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's
They're
out of control.
dilated, buddy.
All right. Well, I'm excited.
Speaking of
Yes.
aggressiveness.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Right? And being aggressive. Yeah.
How about just being a dude, a man,
Being
a
a
badass?
man.
Real man.
If you
guys,
were, what if
please
you were to
stop.
pull up next to this guy?
And I gave him one of these, and then he gets out of the car.
Yeah.
And then you look up.
Yeah.
And then it's this, and then it's the.
Hey, how are you?
A real badass.
Big fan. Big fan.
Well, I guess without further ado,
Well,
everybody.
yes.
A good friend of ours.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan.
Yep.
Adam Edge Copeland, the rated R superstar. Here we go.
What?
Is on
in
the podcast
in the
today.
house with us?
What's
oh
up,
my
dude?
gosh, this guy.
That was an ovation, guys. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
That's the
was
way we
like
do
a
it
real
here.
Philly. That was a Philly ovation.
Always.
Right
There you go. Well,
Always.
Philly is always in the house. Speaking of which, you don't look like you're in Philly. Where are you right now? You look like you're in, honestly, like in the movie Cliffhanger 2. Like, you know, the cabin that Schwarzenegger, that Stallone climbs in the mountains and he gets in there and he's like, we're going to be safe. John Lithgow won't find me in
Cliffhanger
here.
2.
They're making a sequel. They're making a sequel to Cliffhanger.
possibly the greatest action movie
Yeah.
Okay.
time.
Well, first of all, I didn't. Who knows they're making a? You just dropped that on us, and I mean,
I know that. Everybody
That's
knows
huge.
that.
How do you drop Cliffhanger 2 on me?
exactly. Thank you, Adam.
They green-litted, I guess, or green-lit.
No, there
Green-lit
you
it.
go.
It's
No,
been a
just
morning, but
green-lit.
I've been up
They've
since
been
4
green-lighting
a.m.
lots of things.
Yes, they've been
Green-lights are
greenlighting lots of
good.
things. But yes, to go Cliffhanger 2 is a go. Stallone is coming back.
So is John Lithgow. No, I'm just kidding.
he might.
That would be amazing.
Amazing.
Hey.
Anyway, that cabin reminds me of it, from what I can see. Are you in a cabin, or am I just hypothesizing?
So you can hypothesize. Easy for me to say. So I live in the mountains of North Carolina. So
wow. You are in the mountains.
I live on top of a mountain, and I
sick.
have basically turned this house into like a Rocky IV training montage.
Yes, dude.
Hearts on fire. So
I mean, if you don't
these-
immediately sing that when I say that, I'm disappointed.
Dude, that montage, okay? When Dragall's getting all the injections and running on the thing, and Rocky's coming up with the wood.
The log, yeah.
Oh my
The
God.
wood, the
Dude.
sit-ups.
Dude.
Oh yeah, over that like off of, in the barn, like off
Yes,
of that like ledge. He
yes.
was doing the
Yes.
so cool, dude.
That movie
You can't
was
beat
so badass. And you know what? We were just talking about this the other day that, like, you know, despite all the technological advances that they had, you know, and that they utilize today, like in Creed 3 and stuff, the fight sequences in Rocky 4, I don't know how they shot them.
so good,
But
dude.
they literally were so much better than Creed 3. So much better.
There's a documentary, and Sly talks about it.
Really?
It was during the pandemic. He goes into his studio because he's recutting Rocky IV.
That's right.
Now I'm going to go on a Stallone kick.
Go ahead.
Randomly, I guess not randomly. So I believe that Rocky Balboa is the greatest character in movie history, cinema history.
I love it, dude.
I truly believe that. I do. And then I was just reading this Cinema Speculation by Quentin Tarantino, right?
Okay.
So he talks about his love of Paradise Alley. And if you haven't seen Paradise Alley, it's amazing. Terry Funk, who is a pro wrestler, who is NWA World Heavyweight Champion, he plays the wrestler that Sly's brother in it, faces. Paradise Alley is... So here's the story.
Okay.
Stallone writes Paradise Alley after Lords of the Flatbush, right? So he knows Henry Winkler. That's his buddy. He writes Paradise Alley. He goes out to L.A. He's with his wife and Butkus, which is the dog from Rocky 1. Car breaks down. He knows nobody in L.A. but Henry Winkler. He calls Henry Winkler. Winkler picks him up.
The Fonz.
Stallone gives him the script. He goes, I love it. Let's make it. I'll take it to ABC. We'll make it an ABC TV movie. Stallone's like, sure, great. This is awesome. The studio wants a rewrite. Stallone says, no, let's blow up the deal because this is my baby. Right? He puts Paradise Alley on the shelf and then writes Rocky.
Wow.
My God.
I didn't know that, man.
And then after Rocky, he's got the clout now. His directorial debut is Paradise Alley.
No way, dude.
And Paradise Alley is awesome. It is awesome.
I didn't know this.
It's so good.
I didn't know
it's
that,
basically
dude.
Rocky, but with wrestling.
Wow.
We're such big Rocky fans because not only are we from Philly, so that is like our life, but we lived when we moved out to California. We lived on Balboa Boulevard, which is the street that inspired him to write. He was like, I've heard a story of him saying he was driving down Ventura Boulevard and he saw Balboa and he was like, there we go.
To me, Sylvester Stallone is the greatest example of betting on yourself.
Dude,
100%, dude.
Absolutely.
Well, even with Rocky, right? The stories are that everybody wanted the script, same thing. They wanted Burt Reynolds and all these big, huge movie stars at the time, and he said no.
Yep.
I'm Rocky. I'm the guy. I'll take less money. We'll do it for less money. I'm banking on myself. I know what this guy is. I don't want a movie star to play him. You know what I mean? Incredible.
He's the underdog. If it's not Stallone, you don't get behind Rocky the way you do. Like, I remember seeing Rocky and people cheering in the theater. Like, and
incredible.
You read all of these accounts of that, like that movie and Rocky 2. Like, I love Rocky 3. I love Rocky 4, but Rocky 1 and 2.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
those are
dude. No,
epic
dude,
movies.
They were
dude.
incredible. They were just
So good.
incredible. Yeah,
When
I
we-
was obsessed with the cars in Rocky 4. I love that he had,
the
it
pop
was-
culture really.
Oh, the
was
pop
what
culture
was
in Rocky
so-
4 was so
It
sick.
was dripping.
You
Yeah,
know,
it was dope.
With the coiffed hair.
Oh my God! Yeah.
my-
And the beach running beach montage.
Oh, yeah.
The
Rocky 3.
The beach montage is great because you can just tell Carl Weathers, who's a friggin' stallion, right?
Yeah.
He's like just beautiful strides.
Yes.
And then there's
Stallone
Stallone
just chugging.
having a stroke.
Dude,
right?
the
Trying
underdog,
to keep
always.
up,
I mean,
but
dude,
so amazing.
Eye of the Tiger was Rocky 3. Eye of the Tiger, it's the thrill of the fight,
And-
rising up to the talent of a rival. Amazing.
Survivor. It's the band Survivor.
Yeah.
And also the greatest wrestling cameo, Thunder Lips, the ultimate male
Yes.
versus the ultimate meatball.
Yes.
And then my
Yes.
favorite part is Stallone. Rocky goes, hey, he's pretty big. How much do you think he eats? And then Mickey goes about 202.5 pounds, weighing in at 202.5 pounds.
Oh my God! It's so good, dude.
So good, dude.
So good.
So good.
It's awesome.
Let me ask you something. Did the Rocky movies or Rocky, because, what was that part of your inspiration? Is that what, because what led you
Yeah, it's a good question, Joe.
Because obviously you're a specimen of a human being, right? So when somebody, but when somebody has, I always said, if I was born 6'5", 250 solid muscle, I would definitely be doing something with that. I would not go accounting. That's for me. I want to do number. I'm a numbers guy. I would definitely be I'm going to do something with this incredible physique.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, growing up and stuff and watching Rocky doing these things, obviously growing into the specimen that you are, and of course it takes a lot of hard work too, but gifted with the height and the
Genetics,
and
sure.
the genetics. Is that sort of what you're I got to do something like that, or no? Was it something completely random and different that sort of led you that way?
So if I look back at my childhood, like I was a weird kid, right? I mean, I don't think I fall into we have to be.
Yeah.
There's no other way around it. We were all weird kids.
Yep.
So it was Ace Frehley. It was Sylvester Stallone, my mom, my Uncle Gary, and
Uncle Gary always does it every time.
Uncle Gary, man. So those were my touchstones, right? Yeah. So as I grew older, I realized that, guitar playing was probably not going to be my thing. So Ace Frehley's out, but I still love Ace Frehley.
Right.
There was something about Stallone, and I also related to my Uncle Gary kind of looked like Stallone. So they were kind of one and the same to me. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And I think that's why I've always had such a soft spot for Stallone. And then learning more about his story over the years, it's just really made me respect like the determination and grit that dude had, right? Yeah. So I had decided I wanted to be a wrestler the first time I saw it. It kind of came along after Stallone and after Kiss, and I saw it the first time and I went, I don't know what this is, but I can't stop watching it. Like I am just locked onto this thing. And I think looking back, it was comic books come to life, right? And I love comic books.
Of course.
But I can't go down. I can't shake hands with Spider-Man or the Incredible Hulk or Thor, but I can go down Maple Leaf Gardens and maybe, just maybe, if I'm really creepy and find out where the wrestlers come into the arena, I can have a chat. And now I can pick the brains. And now I'm putting Demolition's luggage in their trunk for them and going, so if I did this and did this and did this, and then I'm going to like the Deanie Petty show, which is like kind of like the Oprah of Canada, or was, and Bret the Hitman Hart was going to be on it. Yes. He was champion. I was training to be a wrestler by this point. I went and I sat in the studio audience and I'm like, I'm asking a question because they do a Q&A. So I go down there. Sure enough, I just say, what do I do? And Bret goes, I'm pretty far removed from it. And he had his father who owned a promotion, so he didn't really know what to tell me. He finds me in the hallway after, says, I'm sorry I didn't have anything better to tell you, but here's my number.
What?
He's, at that point, the best wrestler in the world.
No way, dude.
So and sure enough, a year later, I'm out at his house. He's got an indoor pool out in Calgary. He's got a ring set up beside the pool, and I'm out in the ring with him. And that opens the door to WWE. But a lot of it is really just, again, like Stallone, believing in myself, betting on myself, and then putting myself in the position to have someone crack a door, but then I got to kick it off the hinges. Yep. Now, going back to what you said, I didn't know I was going to end up being 6'5", 240. I didn't know that. But I'd already decided.
I literally I knew he was big, but I did. That's pretty much exactly what I just said. It's crazy. 6'5", 240.
You gave me 10 pounds.
Wow, I'm 5'9", 140. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm not. But I'm more than 140. All right. I'm like 160, 165. But I'm fast as hell. All right.
Try to catch me.
I'm like a water
just
bug.
try to catch me.
I'm like a water bug. I just bounce around.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all about that BMI, body mass index. You're good.
Right. That's what it is. 6'5", 240.
Wow. Man, I always wanted to be 6'5". I wanted to play in the NBA. I was a big NBA guy growing up. That I like spent 4 years trying to dunk. I spent years. I'm saying like 4 or 5 hours a day dedicated to 3-point
so
shots.
Much so that he still has a limp from
it's true.
Trying to dunk.
Yep.
Yeah.
We tell the story all the time. He was able to dunk.
I was able to dunk for about a year.
But he can't walk anymore. Really? But he was able to dunk.
Yeah.
He was.
One day he landed and his knees went into his hips. And it was just,
That's why I'm 5'7".
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. But you got the dunk, man. You got the dunk.
Yeah.
So I said I was going to be a wrestler, knew I wanted to be a wrestler, and then thankfully genetics also helped me out in that regard. Because it's changed now, but when I first got into wrestling, you had to be big to a certain level,
of course,
in order to even like get anyone to look at you. Now it's much more about athleticism. What can you do on a microphone? Kind of all of those elements. Now it feels like there's a lot more plates to keep in the air as opposed to before, where you could just be a dinosaur and kind of,
for sure,
do your thing and club people and chuck them around and be a character. Now it's a little bit more nuanced than that. But I just fell in love with it, and I'm still in love with it. I still think I love acting, but there's just something about the instant gratification I get from an audience.
Yeah, man.
I instantly know whether something worked.
Yep.
Instantly. So I relate it to, it's almost like a stand-up. It's almost like live theater.
Totally.
But it's in the round and it's live to the world.
It's funny you say that because we've all done a lot of half-hour comedy,
Yeah,
right?
I was just gonna say this.
Multi-camera comedy, right? And back in its heyday, you always had a live audience. Like it wasn't even a question, and you had to because it was like theater, right? And it also, like you said, was a brilliant way for us to know if our stuff was funny, right? So that it would translate to the rest of America, to the rest of the world, right? Because if those 500 people in the studio audience were laughing, well, then you had a good shot that the 25 million people, the majority of those people would be laughing as well, right? You could extrapolate that out, right?
And also, you grow. You grow as an artist or an entertainer or a wrestler so much faster.
And your
get to
timing, and you're
continually
feeding off of
trying
them,
it
and they're
out.
feeding off of you, and all these great things, right? So, and then in the modern era, they thought, you know what? We can do half-hour comedy. We're going to do away with the audience. And that's worked in a couple of instances, but most of the times these shows suck because they're not in front of a live audience. They think they're funny as hell.
Tell us
they're
how you
like,
really
we're
feel.
so funny.
Yeah.
We're so funny. And you're like, you're not that funny. Nobody's
Well, here's
laughing.
the thing. You're making the writer laugh.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, of course he's going to think it's he or she.
It's his joke.
Because
Yes,
they
they
wrote it.
wrote it. Exactly. Exactly.
But for me, there's nothing like watching, an episode of Cheers.
There it
And when you
is.
hear that audience
That's it.
continue laughing,
Yeah.
or there's the one dude in the back corner going,
Exactly,
and
dude.
you see Ted Danson kind of do one of those like, ooh, got him.
Yep. It is.
Love
You
it, dude.
can't.
I remember growing up and I would watch in reruns, talk about Henry Winkler. I would watch in Happy Days, right? In reruns, right? Because I was a little kid in the 80s, watching them and stuff. And he would walk on the screen. And I used to love to hear the audience just scream for like 20
Scream.
seconds.
He was a rock
and it was
star.
so weird for
Yeah.
me because 15 years later, I would walk out on the set of Blossom and they would do the same thing. And they would leave it in the show. And it was so cool to know that was happening and to know that everybody was going to hear that. Like they weren't going
yes.
to cut it out. Whereas today they use these canned laughs.
No, you can tell them.
And they begin and they end. They go, ha ha ha.
Yeah, you can tell the cadence
You're
of them. It's that energy was so captivating, and it translated. It even translated on film. Like when it was replayed on television years later, you could still feel that
Feel
electric
that energy.
of the
That's
live
right.
audience laughing. Yep.
And that's why I love wrestling.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
man.
That's what made me think about it. Because when you said that, yes.
No matter what, no matter who's in what storyline or who's getting a push is what it's called in our industry, whatever it is, here's how you can tell whether what you do is connecting. As soon as your music hits,
That is
because you got your own music, as soon as your music hits, if they all come up out of their seats, you got them.
You got him.
That's it,
You
dude.
got 'em.
Heck
That's
yeah, man.
so cool,
And-
dude. No, it's
And you know instantly.
Yeah, you do. You do. As a matter of fact, the brothers and I, are working on a new, half-hour comedy, right? Scripted together that we're working on. And one of the prerequisites that we've said to everybody that we've sat down with, because there's people that are interested, obviously, because we know how to do it, and because that art form does really still work. But as long as you do it right, it works. One of the things we said is we're not doing it without a live audience. Like if we're coming back to comedy multi-camera, it's going to be in front of a live audience because that character is essential to the performance. Just like what you're saying. When you guys go out there and you perform, that audience is a character.
I mean,
without them, there's no one to hit the ball up
Absolutely.
against.
How-
It's not just you and the other person in the ring.
Well,
you know?
how crazy was it for you when like the whole pandemic hit and stuff? Because you had to perform without a crowd for
It's so crazy,
for the
bro.
first
So
time
weird, huh?
ever, right? So you could hear like a pin drop and during your performance, I'm like, how that must have been crazy.
Dude, it was the worst.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
It really was. Now, it's sounding completely selfish. There's a worldwide pandemic. There's bigger things. There's bigger fish to fry, right?
Right.
But when you dive into the minutiae of these different industries, we never stopped.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we were live in a warehouse, and it was 316 because it was Austin 316 show. So the only thing is I got to open the show for the first time with no audience, and I got a live microphone, and I'm cutting a promo. So we're 10 seconds to air. No audience, again, warehouse in our training facility for new students, right? And I'm going, wait, I have to cut a promo. there's no audience, I got to go down the barrel, which you never do in wrestling.
Right.
You never break that fourth wall.
Interesting.
But I realized with 10 seconds to air, I got to break it.
Right. Sure.
Because otherwise, people are going to go, what is happening? He's talking
Hello,
to no
everybody.
one.
This guy's lost his damn mind. He's talking to the air.
I got nobody to play off of.
Yeah.
So I went, okay, this is a monologue.
Wow.
Right. So I said, Sweaty, our camera guy, Sweaty. I was like, Sweaty, I'm coming down the barrel. He goes, wow.
Sweaty.
This is 10 seconds before. I'm like, I got you, Sweaty. He also from Philly, by the way. I said, I got you.
Sweaty.
No choice. So I go down the barrel. I get to the back, and everybody's like, that was great. I was like, well, I think that's kind of what we need to do, because otherwise, we got to talk to our opponents that are in the camera and to the people at home. Yep. We got to change it.
Wow.
Now, when you get to the matches, that sucked. I loved having a microphone and talking to the audience. I loved it because I could go straight down the camera, and I loved it. And acting prepared me for that.
Right.
But with no audience, everything hurt so much more.
Oh,
you didn't have the adrenaline to like. So I remember
I didn't even think about
right? I'm coming back from a torn tricep. I hadn't been in a ring in 7 months. I'm coming back. They want me to go from 1 and win the Royal Rumble, which means 60 minutes in the ring, right?
Dude.
So that means I'm in there to take everybody's moves. Let alone the fact that I was retired for 9 years because of my neck. So I just remember taking this choke slam from Kane, he's 6'10", he's 300 pounds. He's now the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. Like, you can't write this stuff.
6'10", 300 pounds?
He choke slams me, and I just remember hitting and going, that was horrible. I don't want to get up. I don't want to get up. This hurts too bad. And then I can hear some of our crew like laughing, and I heard a fart.
Oh,
like,
my God.
You're performing and you hear somebody crank a fart and they're laughing, and you're like,
dude.
It was.
Are you kidding me, dude? Wait a minute. That's hilarious. You know, I've seen it Any Given Sunday when Dennis Quaid is out on the field and they're like, wake up. Or was it Jamie? Was it Jamie Foxx was out on the field? I think it was either Jamie Foxx or Dennis Quaid was out on the field and they're like, wake up. And you hear like a pin drop and you hear a fart in that moment.
Dude, that's
what you hear.
Honestly, that's so very deflating.
Difficult.
A bit.
It was deflating, but also what it did do is it really, really showed who could perform and who was dependent on crutches.
Right.
So in our industry, you call it high spots, right? So a lot of talent will just depend on flips and they have this coordinated thing, this choreographed routine set out in their mind of what they're going to do with no concept or care of what the audience may react to. Now, what I always loved about wrestling is we could wrestle in El Paso last night, but Toronto the next night, entirely different audience. Right. You can't just go out and do the same thing. If you're really good at what you do, you're ad-libbing. And you're telling the story as you go by listening to what they're reacting to. So that's why I say there's so many plates to keep in the air. Now, if you're on live TV, you got 10 cameras. You got to know which one's hot because you don't want them seeing you relaying what you want to your opponent or talking to the referee or any of that stuff. Really so wild. If that camera at ringside's hot and I got somebody on a chin lock and I want to start, having a little chat with them, we're hot. Can't do it. So I got to fill it another way. So maybe now I drop them down and start dropping some knees. I see that the camera switches. Now I grab them back and here we go.
Wow. Interesting, man. I did not know this.
And if you get your bell rung, you still got to. You still have to be aware enough to be able to do those things. And be exhausted too, because there's nothing that prepares you for getting thrown on your back and getting up and running.
For sure.
Can't do it. Unless you got a treadmill that you can fall on and jump back up and run. There's nothing that prepares you for being inside a wrestling ring because, again, no matter what anybody thinks, it hurts.
Yeah, man.
Oh, there's no doubt it hurts. Even if you try to fall right, I mean, you're still falling. Your body's still crashing down. Somebody's still on top of you. Even if they know how to kind of fall on top of you, they're still falling on top of you.
Bro, what are you thinking when you have like a back full of tacks and you're going head first into a flaming table?
That was a lot of stupidity on my part.
I mean, what the heck, dude?
So I always say that I'm probably missing a chip.
Yeah.
And because
few tools short of a set. That's what my grandfather used to say. A few tools short of a set, that one. But anyway.
Well, that's probably me.
No, get out of here.
I was we were heading into WrestleMania 22, and I was wrestling this guy named Mick Foley, who is also missing a chip. And I thought that Edge should be in the main event. I thought I'd really put in the work to earn that, and I had a chip on my shoulder. So when they said, "How about you wrestle Mick?" I was like, great, because he's just as nuts. And we got together and we said to ourselves, okay, we're going to steal this show. And we're in a hardcore match, which means there's no rules.
Oh my God.
So I had to sign a waiver before that if anything happened to me, no one was responsible but me. Signed it. Didn't even think about it. And
signed it in blood.
So we get
because I was all amped up. Cut myself before I signed it. What? No, Adam, you're insane.
I mean, that's not far off, dude.
I was like, yep, sign it. I'm coming to steal this show.
Wow.
So
I even shanked myself. Oh my God.
Wait, listen, let him finish.
Sorry, go. Sorry.
It's when I look back at it now, especially having two little girls now, I realize how stupid it was. But at that point, I'm 32 years old. I'm almost at the pinnacle of my industry. And I got there for a little bit and I tasted it and ratings went up and all these things went up, but then they still went with these story plans that didn't involve me. And that really, really made me angry.
I get it.
Yeah, if the ratings weren't there, if all of that didn't go up, I would have said, okay, failed experiment. Sure. But it worked. So that's hence the chip on the shoulder. Go into this match. It's a hardcore match. Again, Mick Foley is probably missing more chips than me because he's like, we got to use real barbed wire if we're going to use barbed wire. And I'm like, yeah, sure, okay. Yeah. So we're in the match. Now, I've never been hit with a barbed wire baseball bat. Who has? But I realize when he hits me in the stomach how badly that hurts. Oh. So he hits me in the stomach and I went, oh, God, that sucks. And I look down, there's all these little punctures. Hits me in the arm. My arm starts bleeding. I'm like, oh, this is pretty legit, right? Rakes it across my forehead. I still got a scar, but we're in it now and also really feeling it. And so is the audience. So landing thumbtacks and I land on the thumbtacks. I'm like, ooh, okay. And that reaction's all pretty legit.
Dude, it's insane.
Now,
it's insane.
It's really legit. I'd be crying.
Oh, guys, dude, I can't believe they haven't. It's so insane to watch. Keep going. I'm sorry.
The finish was my idea. And usually when you see Edge do something really stupid, it's because Adam cooked it up and he has too much time on his hands. So, the finish of this match, I do this thing called the spear, right? So I said, hey, Mick, what if I spear you through the ropes into a flaming table? So he's like, yeah, of course. Now, I didn't even factor in the idea that, he wears a flannel, he wears a T-shirt. He's got like 3 layers of clothing on, right? As I'm coming at him, this is when it dawns on me. Oh, I don't have a shirt on and I'm going face first into these flames.
Oh, with long hair too, with like lion locks at this point as well, which is very flammable. Let me say,
very, and it's a flame, like it's legit. And as I'm running, that's when it dawns on me. I'm like, well, I'm here. We're committed. So I hit him, and I just tried to tuck my head into his body as much as I could. Burnt my arm, burnt my hair. As I'm rolling over, we go through the table. The fire goes out. As I'm crawling over to cover him for the pin, I see my arm is smoking and it's turning gray. And I'm kind of shaking a little bit. And I didn't fully realize until I got to the back and they're looking at me, and I've seen video of it since, where I'm kind of in shock. And you can kind of tell I don't really know what's going on right now. It's pretty weird to see now, especially, again, where I'm at in life now.
Of course.
Yeah.
He's a different dude then.
Wow.
I mean, when we did it, we all did Money Plane together, which was an absolute blast. And you were telling it's a if you haven't seen it, it's a complete lunatic debauchery. Who knows? Some people love it, a lot of people hate it. But I had a wonderful time. And you were fucking
They never don't feel one way or the other.
100%. 100%.
Apathy's the worst thing.
100%. And honestly, it was against all odds, and that we even finished that thing and pulled it off with like very minimal funds and just completely swinging out of our league, and we did well, and it did well. And a lot of people have even are clamoring about sequels and so on and so forth. But I digress.
You're gonna call it Money Train.
Well, there's lots of money. There's money. Yeah, there's lots of things.
Money Bus.
I said no. There's
Money Subaru.
money.
Right, exactly.
exactly.
Yes. Oh God.
Money Fiat. What anyway? But you were such a badass, and you were telling stories, and it was so. I mean, the intensity, it was so radical, man. That industry and up and coming, and like the actual blood, sweat, and tears that you leave in the ring it was astounding to me. And I remember one day on set, not to blow smoke, but dude, I remember one day on set, we were given cameras and an empty stage. And like, it was a movie about a plane, and we were literally building a plane out of cardboard while we were shooting. And we had like turn the cameras and hang curtains because there was just nothing for us. Anyway, so we had this little tiny cockpit, and we threw you in there with a stunt guy and basically said, have a fight. And you delivered this fight after like, an hour and a half, 2 hours of fighting in this cockpit. They wheeled the other stunt guy out, literally wheeled him out. He was bleeding. He was done. Like he was
Who am I?
No, yeah, he was going to go lay in bed for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then you sat down, dude, and performed, I think 15, 16 pages of dialogue, like just straight dialogue. And like
bleeding?
Bleeding. I mean, it was
actually
everybody,
bleeding, right?
It was insane, dude. And I was looking at this. I was like, my God. You are so conditioned and you're such a warrior. Yeah. There isn't a movie that you couldn't conquer in your sleep, because what you do on the daily is just it was astounding, man.
My gosh.
Yeah, I was so fucking impressed, and I'm such a huge fan. I can't express it enough how grateful I am for you and your talents, because you really kicked ass.
Well, thank you. But I will say wrestling is phenomenal training for finding yourself in situations where it's like, whatever, like this is not high pressure. This is, I got to go out and fill 9 minutes with a live microphone and the clock's in my head.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Or I just got, slammed off of a ladder through 2 tables, and I still got to be aware what's next.
Yeah. Right.
So, a little stunt scene. Okay, got it. Right. And then dialogue's next. It's phenomenal training. And when I found myself in scenes or in action sequences where everyone else is complaining, and I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, you go back to your trailer, your clothes are hanging there waiting for you, and your meal's waiting for you.
Yep.
Yeah. So when my knees hit this ground, these 2 Fernie pads are going to be on this ground, right? I'm not doing one.
I was about
Fernie.
to say, I'm going to take the Kevin Hart route on this. Have you seen his what he likes to be? If he was going to be an NFL quarterback, the way he liked to be sacked. Have you ever seen him do this?
No, it's funny.
Have him lay me down. Now put a pillow underneath my head. Now put a blanket over me. Okay. Now take it easy on me. That's the way I would be.
That's funny. That's funny, man. Wow,
but it's funny. Like when I was in the grind of 220 shows a year, if I were on last, I'd get out of the building by midnight. There's nothing open with Waffle House, and you're driving 3 hours from Jackson, Mississippi to Dallas, and it's all back roads. So when you go through stuff like that, or I've driven across lakes in northern Manitoba, and like you're sleeping on gymnastics mats, and your meal is macaroni and cheese that you made in the home ec room, like there's nothing that can be thrown at me that is in any way comparable to what I've already been through. So I got to Vikings, and it was a challenging shoot, but I loved it because you didn't have to act really. It was tough.
Yeah.
But you very quickly saw who was cut out for that show and who wasn't.
Right.
Separated the men from the boys quickly, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And same with wrestling. It's the same, it's the way I look at it is I'm very blessed in that I found the thing that I wanted to do, and I got to do it.
Yeah, right,
and I've been able to do it now for 31 years.
Amazing,
dude. That's crazy.
I know
man.
how rare the percentage of people. Like, let's say you take 100 people and you say, "Are you doing exactly what you want to do for a living?" I guarantee you, 99 are probably going to say no.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah,
we feel the same.
We say it all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, this is my 42nd year of doing this. You know what I mean? So I start right. I mean, it's crazy. So when you think about that, you're like, Sure, there's been a lot of ups and downs, and it's been
Sure.
really crazy at times and very scary and all those things. But I'm still getting to do what I love most to do, So that's like the blessing, right?
Yeah, of all.
Well, and anything worth doing is going to be scary.
It is.
Anything within this, I call it the entertainment tree, right? It's just different branches.
It is.
Whether that's you're a musician, whether you're an actor, whatever it is, there's always going to be chances to take. There's always going to be scary, like, ooh, I'm out at the end of this branch and I'm reaching for that fruit. Can I nab it? Yep. Or am I going to fall?
And then you do fall, and you got to climb back up.
And it's great. And it's great.
I know. I keep trying to
because
explain
look
this.
at that. I mean, dude. Look at you, dude. You broke your freaking neck, bro, and like way too soon, and came back. Look at that. I mean, it doesn't. Look at that freaking story, dude.
You broke your neck. You literally broke it.
So I ended up rupturing my C5 to C7 in my neck. I was 29 years old, and
how did you do that? Was it in the ring?
It wasn't like a one-time thing, I don't think, but I do remember in San Diego a match with Eddie Guerrero, and he hit me with a forearm uppercut, and I landed on a ladder, and the rung was right there. Ooh. And I remember hearing a really loud crack. Now, I don't think it broke there, but something went. Finish the match.
You finished the match?
Yeah, dude, I took a powerbomb off a ladder. It's not pretty to watch because my head snaps off. Now, Eddie and I are on the flight together the next day. He's got 11 stitches from me ramming him into the ladder. He looks like Quasimodo. I look like Frankenstein because I'm doing this. And we just went, what are we doing? And we were sitting beside each other on the plane. We're just like, yeah, man, but did you hear that crowd?
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Because we had them. But so I wrestled for a few more months after that. And finally, it got to the point where my left arm was starting to atrophy, and I was in a lot of pain, more pain than usual. So they went in and they said, oh, yeah, you need neck surgery. We got to fuse you. So I went in. They took a graft from my hip and put it into my spine, and then they put a titanium plate and 6 screws. Mm. So I was out for a year. I had to wait for that fusion to take. Then I came back and I wrestled for another decade. Only when I came back, now I was a bad guy. I was kind of like the bad guy in the show. And as a bad guy, your job is to bounce around for these huge good guy monsters. Mm-hmm. So I'm wrestling John Cena. I'm wrestling Dave Bautista. I'm wrestling Big Show, Undertaker, Kane. Well, the recurring theme in that is I'm the 240-pound guy that's bouncing like a ping pong ball for them, right? But I'm also the heel champion. I'm the bad guy champion. So that's my job. They got to want to see me get beat. And they do until I don't at the end. So in that time, I had ended up developing spinal stenosis, which is an narrowing of the spinal cord. It kind of chokes out your spinal cord. And I was in a lot of pain. I was world champion at the time, did WrestleMania in Atlanta. The company said, why don't you go for an MRI the next day? So I went for an MRI, go up to Charlotte, had a full day of media, had the show that night, drove to a house that I just purchased here, this house. And I get a call 2 days later, and it's from Vince McMahon. And he said, I don't know how to tell you this, but you got to retire. I was like, what? What do you mean I got to retire? I mean, I've passed all the strength tests, everything. He goes, it's to the point where you got to retire. So I was 37 at that point, and I pretty quickly had to figure out what was next, because I'm the kind of guy where I can't have too many down days, because then I start wanting to, I got to go. I got to move. I got to, I got to tap the creative vein. And it just so happens that this show called Haven, the executive producers were watching wrestling because they wanted a wrestler tie-in for their show, because SmackDown led into Haven. They saw my retirement speech, which was in no way scripted, which was in no way character. It was Adam Copeland out there with a live mic ending what he always wanted to do for his entire life, right?
Right.
So they called WWE and said, can we get that guy? Because he just made us cry. So then a week later, I'm up there, and one episode turned into 41. And then, then it became, okay, this taps the vein. It's not quite the same, but it still hits that creative vein.
Yeah.
And then in doing like all my own stunt scenes and things over the years, I was like, Oh, and I also got a second neck surgery. So there's that too. I got second neck surgery. They go in through the front again. They took the pressure off the cord. They put in like a rubber disc. And so I have a triple fusion now. But as I'm doing all my own
Still
stunt
move
scenes
pretty
and-
good. You're
I know,
shaking around. I'm like, every time you do this, I'm like,
Dude, he
you know, like when you just use the wood glue and you're like, God, I hope that thing works. You know,
Dude,
it's going to stick,
like,
right? That coaster is not going to work if these two halves don't go together. So I don't know.
if you point to a part on my body, I've done something to it. Like I got no labrum here. I got half a pec, so I got a divot there. I tore this tricep. This wrist is fused. I can't bend it. Metal rods in my teeth, fractured skull, ruptured groin, tore my Achilles. I don't have MCLs in my knees. Like it's just par for the course, right?
Dude,
It's
how
part
are
of
you
the
still
deal.
going?
I keep moving. I don't
That's
stop.
it. Just don't stop, huh?
Don't stop.
You look 40. What the heck?
50 this year, but
What?
I just keep moving. And I got a gym built in the house, so I have no excuse.
Dude, right. You're
It
50
keeps
this year?
me accountable, and also more than anything, it's I got to be here for my girls because we started having kids when I was 40,
Yep.
and I'm already going to be Gandalf taking them to high school graduation. But
Oh, you're telling me, dude, I got a 6-month-old.
oh, you are in it! Wow.
Yeah, I have
If you're
I have a
Gandalf,
17.
Joe's gonna be Nosferatu.
Yeah, I am. I have a. You're in. I have 17.
You know that old.
Yeah, I know the old guy, you idiot. I have 17, 13, and 6 months. So yeah, dude, 29,
It's a heck of a
33, and 46.
heck of a thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I have a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old, and
Yeah.
they're my world, and
Yeah.
I just I gotta be here for them.
Yeah, for sure.
It's I still have yet to meet my dad, and having
Really?
not grown up with a father, I realize how important a father is.
Very
You
important.
know what I mean? But I didn't know it at the time. I didn't know it was me and my mom, and it was me and her against the world. And I never felt like I lacked for love. I mean, we were poor, but didn't lack for love. So I realize now what a father supplies.
Yeah.
And I see it in my girls' eyes, and I see it in their when they need dad or when they need mom, and it's so important. And it's just I love being a father. It's like the best thing that I've ever been involved with, a part of. It's just
Yeah, it's awesome.
It is.
It is,
and,
man.
And,
It's
and
really
I know
the
it's
coolest
not
thing.
for everybody, right? And I appreciate and I respect those people that know it's not for them.
Absolutely. Because it is life-changing. It does take over
is.
every facet of your world, every decision that you
Yes.
make. And there's that point where there is no end to your giving. There is no end, even when you have nothing left to give. Like,
Got
even
to.
if you're just standing there, and I find times, in the end of the day with all the pressure and everything that's going on, and, my Libby, who's my 13-year-old, she wants to tell me something, and, she's talking, and halfway through, I don't even know if my brain's still operating, like I'm asleep. Because I'm so exhausted, because I got so many things, just the things that just go on in life, and, work and pressures, the things. And,
Yeah,
and
the
but
things.
yet you're standing there going like, I'm not going to miss this moment. I'm not going to miss
No.
this moment. So I'm going to be in this moment. And even if I don't, I don't remember exactly what's going on, I'm going to remember the moment, and it's crazy. It's
I heard a
crazy.
really cool analogy. This guy said, and I don't have any kids. I'm really late to the game. I want kids. I've said this before. I feel like you don't really become a man until you're a father. I mean,
Yeah.
I know a lot of business guys who won't even hire guys who don't have kids because they want that man mentality. You have to be able to have other people's, relying on you to be able to perform. Anyway, so, oh shoot, here we go again.
You forgot?
Yes.
Yeah, Matt.
Let's just say, what was I going to say?
I don't know.
Let's put Matt back
This is
to
really
sleep.
How
important.
the hell am I supposed to know what you're going to
Matt,
say?
just, take a little stroll, Matt. We'll be here doing a
Had really
podcast.
good point. Oh, I got it.
Oh,
Sorry,
boy.
guys.
you
Before it goes away, let me get it out.
Sure.
Lord.
Whenever anybody comes in and would always say to this guy, "Oh, I'm just overwhelmed. My kids." He was like, "Yeah, take that moment when you don't have any more moments with your kids, like you're in the end of your life or something.
Right.
You'd give anything
Yeah.
to go back
Yeah.
to the worst moment with them screaming and crying. You'd go back there to have that moment with your kids."
Absolutely.
Good point.
Well, and it's just like, so yesterday, I was going out to the pool with the girls, and Beth was like, I got to clean the house. I got to do this. I got to do that. I was like, okay, but 6 years from now, they're not going to want to go to the pool with us.
That's right.
Amen, dude.
So, and guess what? The house is still going to be here. It's still going to be fine. I'll help you fold the laundry later. We got it. And she was like, you're absolutely right. Okay. So anytime my girls want to do anything with me, I'm in. So, okay, cool. Daddy-daughter dance, I'm in. And Beth records it and then puts it on Instagram, and I'm dancing like John Travolta in Pulp Fiction, whatever. I don't care because my girl is happy.
Yeah.
It's this shift that happens when you first hold your child. You realize there's nothing about me anymore.
Yeah.
Because I lived my life all about me. My career was all about me. Making it was all about me. Now I bought my mom a house. Okay. You know, there's those things that come by thinking all about me to get this thing done. But when I had my children, it shifted everything to all about them. Yep. And then anything that I accomplish that can help them, that's the key.
There it is.
It's also finding that balance too of making sure that you maintain you. Right. Yes. So I got to take the job because that's still me. That's still in there. And I'm going to be a better father if I still tap into that creative vein.
Heck yeah.
And long story long, when I got doing these fight scenes and after the second surgery, I felt great. I'm wiping out my mountain bike, going downhill at 20 miles an hour, and I'm getting up and I'm good. So I finally reached out and I said, listen, can I do this again? And they're like, on a very limited capacity, yes, you can. Which brings me back to the girls, because then I had to sit down with Beth and really have a very frank discussion and say, listen, this window is here to go back and finish my career off the way I didn't get a chance to the first time. And in the meantime, salaries have tripled, by the way. So do we go back? Do I, go all in and finish this out, something that I love, so that we can just go, okay, that's out of my system. And now in the meantime, I'm still home 90% of the time to be dad.
Right.
While still maintaining the wrestling and still getting the occasional acting gig here and there too. So
it's awesome.
I got a finger point.
Well, I got plans. One, I mean, I really do have a great idea for a Money Plane sequel if I can get Richard Switzer to put his money where his mouth is. And I love Richard, but because I promise you, next time around I'm gonna do better, because that was one of my first movies, man. So I'm gonna and I'm proud of what we did, but I'm gonna do even better, and I'm not gonna let anybody not give us what we need, because we deserve it. We deserve it. So and you deserve it. So not only is there a Money Plane 2 sequel running around, but I got an idea for a movie that I want to make with you, and we're close. We're very close.
You know what I like about this guy right here? He's kind of the perfect example of what I've always been saying was, you can be that nice guy, but really it's almost a little bit dangerous to just be the nice guy. But if you're a warrior, but you go home and look at the way this man cares for his babies and his kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is nobility, because
Absolutely.
he's got a warrior mentality in him.
He is a warrior.
But yet he's able to go home and be nurturing and be a loving father to these two children. That is, to me, like, that's the best example of a man.
Isn't that what it means to be a warrior, right?
Exactly.
All around.
And
dude, you are a beacon and an example of that, for real.
Yes, you are.
Heck yeah, man.
Well, one thing that I've learned is that you can be a nice guy. You don't have to be an asshole, but you do have to have your boundaries. And I don't let people knock those boundaries down. My boundaries are firm, and I let that be known.
You taught me a valuable lesson. Even on the set of Money Plane, there was a moment where it was a big day and you had a speech and dialogue, and there was clamoring, and I was running around trying to be the nice guy, putting fires out, making everybody happy. And you told the whole set to shut up, and I was thinking to myself, one, you're absolutely right, and the way you did it was perfect. And two, next time that happens, I'm going to be the guy that does that, because it's my job to do that. So thank you for teaching me that valuable lesson. And next time we're on a set, I got you. I'm going to be the warrior.
I had a blast, because here's my thing with again, long story, but so my mom and I, right? Again, it was just her and I, and we would sit down and we would watch TV together. And we watched Cheers and we watched Frasier. Her favorite actor in the world was Kelsey Grammer.
Oh, it's crazy.
She loved Kelsey Grammer, and there was no one even close. So
Isn't that wild?
she had passed away a year before I heard about Money Plane, and I went, well, hold on a second. Like, this has got to be my mom somewhere pulling.
That's awesome.
Dude, I just got goosebumps, man.
Dude, because how random is that?
It is random. And being from on our side too, how random Kelsey became a part of the project.
Yeah, it really just
It is a random situation.
the whole thing. I mean, you know, because they were like moving that movie around. It was
Yeah.
like literally 2 weeks before we were going to shoot. I think it was supposed to be shot in Romania. And then they just flipped it and they found like a cardboard box in New Orleans and thought that could be a plane. And yeah, I mean, it was wild. I mean, literally, talk about, you know, building a plane in flight. That is how that movie was really made.
Yeah, your mom was pulling some
Some
strings up
magical
there,
strings,
man.
man.
You know what I mean?
Magical strings.
You know, and it's like Beth continues to say, like, the reason you can't, and I just got word that I was able to go back to wrestling.
Yeah.
So all of this stuff is, you know, kind of falling in my lap, and I'm just like, whoa, I'm getting to work with Kelsey Grammer. My mom would be
Unbelievable.
So
over the
cool,
moon.
dude.
That's so
cool. She would be so ecstatic about that.
Wow.
And then she'd be so ecstatic that I'm getting to go back and close my career out
Right,
the way I
yeah.
didn't get to the first time.
Yeah,
you know,
man.
even to the like, again, Beth will say, like, the pandemic hits, I tear my tricep. I'm out for 7 months. So she goes, I think there's a reason, you know, because I was driving down in my pickup truck with 6 cherry cans in the back because I didn't know if gas stations were going to be closed. Nothing. I'm driving down I-75. There's no cars on the highway. On I-75, I was the only car in a 9-hour drive.
No
Wow.
way,
Down there.
dude.
We do the show and I turn around and drive back. And then next week I do the same thing and come back and back and back. And it was just this tour and it was almost a relief. But
Wow.
so anyway, I loved the experience of Money Plane.
Me too.
Because there was all, you know, we all met.
I know.
We got to work together. And and it was just fun.
It was.
Yeah, dude.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was really fun.
No, you were fantastic then. You're fantastic now, and
we got plans, man.
we got plans.
See this guy.
I got big plans.
and we're
Big
very.
plans.
That's for real. We don't throw that around. But also, dude, we're just so thankful that you came on the show today and joined us.
I
mean,
know.
this has been a real.
I get
treat, dude.
verbal diarrhea. I'm sorry. I
no,
just
dude,
get-
this is badass.
No, this is what podcasts are for.
I don't know if you know this. This is a podcast.
That's
what
why
they-
we're here.
We're here. We chit chat. I got
People are either listening to us or they're watching this on
Watching on
YouTube.
YouTube,
If they're
yes.
watching, they're getting a treat because they get to see literally the cliffhanger log cabin behind Adam. And if they're listening, then these stories are heartfelt and meaningful and relatable, which
Heck
is
yeah,
what's so
man.
cool, man.
Now, listen to the last thing. Let me end on this. Do you remember like the first time you saw a wrestling ring, kind of standing in front of it and looking at it? Can you pull that memory?
So I can tell you the very, very first experience I had seeing wrestling. It was Portland wrestling, and it was Rowdy Roddy Piper, and he was wearing these like cream yellow and green tartan trunks, and they were not spandex. They were like this thick, heavyweight kind of nylon spandex. And he took a beer bottle and he smashed it over his head. And he was Roddy Piper, right? So he's like,
Right.
"Ah, da, da," he's doing his Roddy Piper thing, and the blood just starts pouring down his face. And I went, "Oh, this is amazing,
Dude.
I got to do this, but with barbed wire.
Yes.
It's crazy,
Yeah,
man.
so
Now you have your own ring to train in, right? So like you've
Yeah, I
gone,
do, yes.
you've gone from that to literally the top, and have your own freaking ring. What a
that is-
I mean, what
that is-
a mountain.
Yeah,
you
and
climbed.
this is that moment I actually wanted to ask you. I've been reading a lot lately that science is proving that visualizing is 50% of it. Literally 50% of it. You can visualize playing the electric guitar, and that's 50% of your learning. And so I just wanted to ask you, like, were you a visualizer? Did you visualize yourself in the ring?
all the time.
There you go, man. There you go.
never
That's 50% of it
stops.
right there, I feel like.
I will be doing things, and I will almost function half a day and get a lot of stuff taken care of, but I'm thinking about a match.
Heck
or
yeah.
I'm thinking about a storyline.
Yep.
Or I'm thinking about a promo, and I'm writing lines in my head
Heck yeah, man.
There you go.
for that promo that can relate to this opponent. And I'll go grocery shopping and I'll I'll have this is the WrestleMania match and this is how it can go down. And that would be the finish. And my entrance, wait a minute, I can get this mirrored skull and I can get wings and I could come out to Flair, South of Heaven. That'd be really cool. And then I get home and I bought like kiwis and lilies, which I was not shopping for at all. But I still got the coffee. I still got the, whatever else.
Never come home without lilies. That's the message, folks. Always come home with a fresh set of lilies. Fantastic. I love it, dude. Listen, man.
If you don't want road rage while you're driving your pickup truck, never get stuck behind a Subaru. They always
What's
drive
with the
slow.
Subaru?
The Subarus,
Always.
they're very slow. They're very slow.
Get behind a Subaru Forester and you are there for days.
Days, bro. Days.
Turns out the only other car that was on the road with you on the I-75 was a Subaru.
Was a Subaru.
One guy. That's why they call it a Forester, because literally it's like a tree. It doesn't move. It doesn't move. Yo, Adam, thank you so much for joining us today, brother. We love you, man.
Guys.
We got great things in store, as Andy said. We're going to talk, obviously, well beyond this. But thank you for joining us in our Brotherly Love Pod family here, man. I know they're going to be thrilled to have you on as well as we were today. So thanks so much, brother. We appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Till next time, dude.
We'll talk soon, all right?
Be in touch soon, Adam.
Yes.
Big plans, buddy.
All right, buddy. Love you, man. Thanks so much. Adam Copeland,
Love you,
everybody.
Adam Copeland, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening. We will see you guys, I guess next week.
Next week.
We're going to do it next week
Every
on the Brotherly
Friday.
Love Pod.
No matter what.
See ya. God bless everybody. Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, the Lawrence Brothers here to thank you for tuning in and watching this episode of the Brotherly Love Podcast.
And for exclusive weekly bonus content, join our Patreon now. The link is also in the description.
And we will see you guys next week.
Next week.
Next week.